Good morning. Today we will study some properties of definite integrals. First of all, we will discuss the definition and some theorems. Definite integrals of fx with respect to x between the limits a and b is denoted by writing like this. Here a is the lower limit of integration, b is upper limit of integration, fx is the integrand. And this interval AB is called the range of integration. Here A is always less than B. It means lower limit of integration is less than the upper limit of integration. And we write A to B fx dx equal to fx A to B. Here we write lower limit, here we write upper limit of integration. Here fx is the integration of fx with respect to x. So evaluate this value. First we substitute the upper limit, then we write the minus sign, and then we substitute the lower limit. So it is fb minus fa. And this expression, if we talk historically, this fx dx is infinitesimal area of rectangle of height fx and infinitesimal width dx. By summing these infinitesimal areas, the entire area under the curve was obtained. And this sign, which we denoted today to evaluate the integration of some given function, is an elongated S, and that was used to indicate the summation. You may notice it is the elongated S. So the definite integral is also called Riemann integral in honor of German mathematician Bernhard Riemann, who formulated many of the basic concepts of integral calculus. In the next properties of definite integral, we will notice that the definition of definite integral may be extended to allow for the cases in which the upper and lower limit of integrations are equal and lower limit of integration is greater than the upper limit of integration. The first fundamental theorem of calculus is that if f is continuous on closed interval ab and f is any antiderivative of f, this is capital F and this is small f. F is an antiderivative of f on closed interval ab, then a to b, this limit of integration, and integration of fx with respect to x is nothing but fb minus fa. So, and the second fundamental theorem of calculus states, if f is continuous on an interval, then f has an antiderivative on the interval. In particular, if a is any point in the interval, then the function f is defined as fx equal to integration of ft with respect to t within the limits a to x, and it is an antiderivative of small f. We also write it as f dash x equal to fx for all x in the interval. Or we also write it as derivative of this integral ft with respect to t within the limit a to x is equal to fx. Now some properties of definite integral. There are of course many other properties also, but we are discussing here some important properties. Now integration of fx within the limits a to b is nothing but integration of ft within the limits a to b. With this, here we are integrating with respect to t, here we are integrating with respect to x. It means variable of the integration is just a dummy variable. We may interchange it by any other variable, and the value of integration will remain unchanged if we change the variable of integration. We may replace it by z, we may replace it by t, we may replace it by any variable. The value of integral will remain unchanged. Also, if upper limit of integration is equal to lower limit of integration, then the integral of f with respect to x is 0. Means a to a, if the upper limit of integration, lower limits are integration are equal, then integration of fx is 0. So notice that it is consistent with the intuitive idea that the area between a point on the x-axis and the curve y equal to fx should be 0. The next is integration of fx within the limits a to b is equal to integration of fx within the limits b to a with minus sign. Means if we interchange the limit of integration, then the sign of integral is changed. Here the limit of integration are a to b, here the limit of integration of b to a. So we have the sign of integration is changed from plus to minus. If it is minus here, then it will become plus here. So on interchanging the limits of integration, the sign of integral is changed. If c is any point in the interval ab, then integral of fx within the limits a to b is equal to integral of fx within the limit a to c plus integral of fx within the limit c to b with respect to, we are integrating with respect to x. So we can decompose the integration fx into two parts if c is any point between a and b. If we consider 2 points in between, then we add one more integration here and so on. Also the integration of fx within the limits a to b is equal to integration of f of a plus b minus x within the same limits, and we are integrating with respect to x here. So integration of fx and integration of f of a plus b minus x are same. Here a is the lower limit, b is the upper limit of integration. If the limits are from 0 to a, then we may write here 0 to a, and in that case the integration of fx is same as integration of f of a minus x. And notice that it is a particular case of above property. Here the limits were from a to b, here the limits are from 0 to a. So in this case we have replaced x by a plus b minus x, here we have replaced x by a minus x. So if we replace x by a plus b minus x in this case, or x by a minus x in this case, then the value of integral is unchanged. If the limits of integration are from 0 to 2a, then we break it into two parts and write it as integration of fx plus integration of f of a minus 2x, and of course we are integrating with respect to x, and the limits will be 0 to a in both cases. So we can break it into two parts. Integration of fx plus integration of f of a minus 2x, and the limit of integration will be 0 to a. If f of 2a minus x is equal to fx, then it will be 0 to a fx dx. So these will be same. So we may write twice 0 to a fx dx. So integration of fx, if limits are from 0 to 2a, is nothing but integration of fx twice the integration of fx, limits are from 0 to a. If f of 2a minus x is equal to minus fx, in that case it will be here minus fx, these two will be cancel out and this will be equal to 0. So if f of 2a minus x is equal to 0, then the integration of fx from 0 to 2a is equal to 0. Also, if f is even function, means f of minus x equal to fx, that is value of the function remain unchanged if replaced by x by minus x, then the integration of fx within the limits minus a to a is twice the integration of fx within the limits 0 to a. If f is odd function, means f of minus x equal to minus fx, then the integration of fx within the limits minus a to a will be 0. So all these properties will be useful in evaluating the definite integrals more easily, and we will discuss some simple examples just to demonstrate how to use the properties of definite integral in evaluating the integrals, and you may apply the properties of definite integral for complicated cases also. This is just to make you learn that how to utilize the properties of integration to evaluate the integration. So first of all, I have considered simple example to evaluate integration of mod x cube minus x within the limits -1 to 2. Here the lower limit is negative, upper limit is positive. We know that by the property of modulus that mod of x is x if x is greater than or equal to 0, and mod of x is minus x if x is less than 0. It means mod of x cube minus x is x cube minus x if x cube minus x is greater than or equal to 0, and minus x cube minus x if x cube minus x is less than or equal to 0. And if you solve these two, you will notice that x cube minus x is greater than or equal to 0 on the interval -1 to 0 and 1 to 2. In both cases, x cube minus x is positive, and in the interval 0 to 1 it is negative. So mod of x cube minus x will be x cube minus x in the interval -1 to 0 and 1 to 2, and mod of x cube minus x will be minus x cube minus x in the interval 0 to 1. So if we take 2 points 0 and 1 between -1 to 2, then we can write the integration of mod x cube minus x. We can decompose it into 3 parts. One is from integration from -1 to 0, then 0 to 1, then 1 to 2. And when the interval is from -1 to 0, in that case x cube minus x is positive. It means mod of x cube minus x is x cube minus x. In the interval 0 to 1, x cube minus x is negative. Therefore, mod of x cube minus x is minus x cube minus x. And again, in the interval 1 to 2, x cube minus x is positive. So, mod x cube minus x is x cube minus x. Here we have utilized the property of modulus function, because mod of x is x if x is greater than or equal to 0 and minus x if x is less than 0. Now it is easy to evaluate these integration, because we know that integration of x raised to n is x raised to n plus 1 upon n plus 1. So integration of x cube is x raised to 4 upon 4. Integration of x is x square upon 2. Limits are from -1 to 0. So I have written here -1 to 0. Here it is minus x cube minus and minus plus x. So minus x cube plus x. So we may also write it as x minus x cube. So integration of x is x square upon 2. Integration of minus x cube is minus x4 upon 4. Integration of x cube x4 upon 4. Integration of x square upon 2. Here the limits are 1 to 2. So 1 to 2. Here the limits are 0 to 1. So 0 to 1. Now to evaluate this, first we substitute the upper limit of integration. Then we write the minus sign. Then we substitute the lower limit of integration. So if we substitute the upper limit of integration, it is 0. It is 0. So we have 0. So I have skipped the 0 term here. Then we write the minus sign. So I have written minus here. Then we substitute the lower limit. Minus 1 raised to 4 is 1. So 1 upon 4. Minus 1 whole square is 1. So minus 1 upon 2. This sign is this. So in the first case we have 0 minus 0 I have skipped. 1 upon 4 minus 1 upon 2. Plus in second term, first we substitute upper limit. So it is 1 square upon 2, 1 upon 2, minus 1 raised to 4 upon 4, so 1 upon 4. So 1 upon 2 minus 1 upon 4 for upper limit. For the lower limit, it is 0 upon 2, it is 0 upon 4. So this is 0, I have skipped the 0 term here. In the third term, first we substitute the upper limit. So it is 2 raised to 4. 2 raised to 4 is 16 upon 4. So 4. This is 4. Lower limit again 2 square. 2 square is 4. 4 upon 2 is 2. So for upper limit we have 4 minus 2. For lower limit 1 upon 4 minus 1 upon 2. So this is 1 upon 4 minus 1 upon 2. So always remember that first substitute the upper limit, then write the minus sign, then substitute the lower limit. So 1 upon 4 minus 1 upon 2 is minus 1 upon 4. We have minus sign here, so it is 1 upon 4. 1 upon 2 minus 1 upon 4 is 1 upon 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. 1 upon 4 minus 1 upon 2 is minus 1 upon 4. Again we have minus sign here, so plus 1 upon 4. So 1 upon 4, 1 upon 4, 1 upon 4, 3 upon 4 plus 2. So 11 upon 4. Here we have used a property that if C is the point between A and B, then integration of fx may be decomposed into two parts. One is from integration of fx from A to C, then integration of fx within the limits C to B. Here we have 2 points 0 and 1 between minus 1 and 2. So I have written I have decomposed into 3 integrals. Minus 1 to 0, 0 to 1, then 1 to 2. Now we will learn to evaluate sine square x between the limits minus pi by 4 to pi by 4. Whenever the lower limit or upper limit are same, they only differ by minus sign. First of all, check that the given function is even function or odd function. Here we know that sine of minus theta is minus sine theta, but if we square both sides, the minus sign will go. Therefore, sine square x is even function. In this case, f of minus x is fx. So when the function is even function, then the integration of fx from the limit minus a to a is equal to twice the integration of fx. The limits are from 0 to a. So this is equal to twice the integration of sine square x. Limits will be 0 to pi by 4 here, because sine square x is even function. We know that sine square x is nothing but 1 minus cos 2x upon 2. So this 2 can be cancelled with this 2 because 2 is constant. We are integrating with respect to x. So we are left with 1 minus cos 2x only. Now the integration of 1 is x. Integration of cos 2x is sin 2x upon 2. Because integration of cos theta is sin theta and coefficient of x is 2. So I have written sin 2x upon 2. Limits of integration are from 0 to pi by 4. So first of all, substitute the upper limit of integration. So pi by 4 minus sine 2 pi by 4 upon 2. Sine 2 pi by 4 means sine pi by 2. Sine pi by 2 is 1. So this is pi by 4 minus 1 upon 2. If we substitute the lower limit of integration, this is 0. Sine 0 is 0. So here we have 0 term. So I have deleted that term. So integration of sine square x with respect to x between the limits minus pi by 4 to pi by 4 is nothing but pi by 4 minus 1 upon 2. Now we will integrate the function x sin x upon 1 plus cos square x within the limits 0 to pi. We know by the property of definite integral that integration of fx and integration of f of a minus x are same. The limits are from 0 to a. So means you may replace x by a minus x. Here in place of you have pi here. So pi minus x, sine of pi minus x is sin x, 1 plus cos square pi minus x, cos square pi, cos pi minus x is minus cos x. If you square it, you will get cos square x. So again this is cos square x. So in the numerator you have pi minus x into sin x. So it means pi sin x minus x sin x. So you may break it into two parts by property of integrals. So it will be pi sin x upon 1 plus cos square x, and this is minus x sin x upon 1 plus cos square x. Limits are from 0 to pi. Limit of integration are same. And this integral is nothing but I. And here we have minus sign, so this is minus I. Because we have substituted the integration of x sin x 1 plus cos square x dx limits 0 to pi as I. So this is minus I. If you shift this to this side, this will become 2i, and we will be left with only one term this side, pi sin x upon 1 plus cos square x. We are integrating with respect to x. Limits are from 0 to pi. So we already know how to integrate these type of function. Pi is constant here, so we may write it outside the integration also. So if we substitute cos x equal to t, then derivative of cos x is minus sin x, so minus sin x dx dt. Here the limit is 0, so if x equal to 0, cos 0 is 1, t will be 1. If upper limit is pi here, if x is pi, then cos pi is minus 1, so t equal to minus 1. Whenever you make a substitution, the value of integration will, limits of integration will also be changed. So here it is pi, so this is pi, sin x dx is minus sin x dx is dt, so sin x dx is minus dt. So this is dt with minus sign, this is 1, cos square x is, cos x is t, so t square. Limits are, earlier were 0 to pi, so now the limits are from 1 to minus 1. For x equal to 0 it is t, for x equal to pi it is minus 1, so limits are from 1 to minus 1. We know that if we interchange the limit of integration, the integral will be, the sign of integral will be changed. So here we had minus here, so sign of integral will be changed. So now we have plus here. Here the limits are 1 to minus 1. Here the limits are minus 1 to 1. We have changed the order of upper limit and lower limit, and sign of integral is changed. Here it was minus, so now we have plus here. Also 1 upon 1 plus t square is again a even function, because if we replace t by minus t, the value of the function will remain unchanged. So in case of even function, we may write the integration of fx is twice the integration of fx. The limits here are from minus a to a, the limits here will be 0 to a. So here the limits are from minus 1 to 1, the function is even function, so we may write 0 to 1 twice integration of 1 plus t square. Here we are integrating with respect to t. So pi I have shifted to outside, so this is 2 pi. Here also you have 2, here also you have 2, so you may cancel 2 on both sides. So we may write here I equal to pi. We know that integration of 1 upon 1 plus t square is tangent inverse t. The limit of integration here are from 0 to 1, so I have written 0 to 1. We know that integration of 1 upon x square plus a square is 1 upon a tangent inverse x upon a, and in place of x we have 1 here. So first substitute the upper limit, tangent inverse 1, minus substitute the lower limit, tangent inverse 0. Always substitute first the upper limit, then write the minus sign, then substitute the lower limit within the bracket. So it is pi tangent inverse 1 minus tangent inverse 0. Tangent inverse 1 is pi by 4 because tangent pi by 4 is 1. Tangent inverse is 0 because tangent 0 is 0. So this is pi into pi by 4 means pi square upon 4. Now we will learn to evaluate the function sin 5x upon cos 4x. The limits are from minus 1 to 1. I have already told you that whenever the limits are from minus a to a, first check whether the given function is even function or odd function. So here the function is fx equal to sin 5x upon sin 5x cos 4x. F of minus x is sin 5 minus x cos 4 minus x. We know that cos of minus theta is cos theta, sin of minus theta is minus sin theta. Here the power is 5, here the power is 4. So it is minus 5 minus sin 5x, and this is cos 4x. So f of minus x is minus fx. It means f is an odd function. And we know that if f is an odd function, then integration of fx within the limits minus a to a is equal to 0. So therefore integration of sin 5x cos 4x from minus 1 to 1 is equal to 0. We need not do any further calculation, just write directly the integral of sin 5x cos 4x within the limits. If the lower limit of integration is minus 1, upper limit of integration is 1, we are integrating with respect to x, and this will be equal to 0. Now we will integrate sin 4x upon sin 4x plus cos 4x within the limit 0 to pi by 2. Again, we will make use of the property that if the limits are from 0 to a, we may replace x by a minus x. Integration of fx and integration of f of a minus x are same with respect to x. So here the limits are from 0 to pi by 2. So in place of a, we have pi by 2 here. So we may write sine 4 pi by 2 minus x, sine 4 pi by 2 minus x plus cos 4 pi by 2 minus x. Sine pi by 2 minus x is cos x, cos pi by 2 minus x is sin x. So it is cos 4x plus sin 4x. Here I is equal to sin 4x upon sin 4x plus cos 4x. Limits were from 0 to pi by 2. Here it is cos 4x upon cos 4x plus sin 4x. The limits are also 0 to pi by 2, integrating with respect to x, integrating with respect to x. If we add these two, because numerators are same, using the properties of integrals, so this will be equal to I plus I2i. Denominator is same, sin 4x plus cos 4x. In the numerator you have sin 4x here you have cos 4x, so it is cos 4x. So these numerator and denominator is same, so it is, if we can cancel, so we are left only with 1. So 0 to pi by 2 dx. Integration of 1 is x, limits are from 0 to pi by 2. First substitute the upper limit of integration, pi by 2, then suppose lower limit of integration 0, so this is pi by 2 minus 0, so pi by 2, this is pi by 2. This side we have 2i, so I is equal to pi by 4. Now we will integrate 1 upon 1 plus under root tangent x within the limit pi by 6 to pi by 3. We know that under root tangent x is nothing but sin x upon cos x. So we can write here under root sin x upon under root cos x. So if you simplify it, this will go here, and in the denominator we had under root cos x, so it will go to numerator. So after simplification we get under root cos x upon under root cos x plus sin x. Limits are same, we are integrating with respect to same variable. We know by property of integration that x may be replaced by a plus b minus x, means integration of fx and integration of f of a plus b minus x are same if the limits are from a to b. So here lower limit pi by 6, upper limit is pi by 3. So we may write cos pi by 3 plus pi by 6 minus x, cos pi by 3 plus pi by 6 minus x, sin pi by 3 plus pi by 6 minus x. So I have replaced x by pi by 3 plus pi by 6 minus x. Pi by 3 is the lower limit of integration, pi by 6 is upper limit of integration. So pi by 3 plus pi by 6, 6 is the LCM, so 3 2s are 6, 2 pi plus pi, 3 pi upon 6, 3 pi upon 6 is pi by 2. So cos pi by 2 minus x, cos pi by 2 minus x is sin x, cos pi by 2 minus x is sin x, sin pi by 2 minus x is cos x. So we have under root sin x plus under root cos x. So like previous example, we have the same denominator here and here. So this is I and this is I. So if we add these two, this is 2i under root cos x plus under root sin x using the definite integral. So under root cos x plus under root sin x, under root cos x plus under root sin x. We may cancel these two. So this is 1. So limits are pi by 6 to pi by 3. So 1 dx, integration of 1 is x. Pi by 6 to pi by 3. So first substitute the upper limit, pi by 3. Then substitute the lower limit, pi by 6. Write the minus sign in between. So pi by 3 minus pi by 6 is nothing but pi by 6. Here this side we have 2i. So I is equal to pi upon 12. One more example. Integration of log sin x dx. Limits are from 0 to pi by 2. Again we make use of the property that x may be replaced by a minus x. Integration of fx and integration of f of a minus x are same if the limit of integration are from 0 to a and we are integrating with respect to x. So log sin x may be written as log sin pi by 2 minus x. We have replaced x by pi by 2 minus x because in place of a we have pi by 2 here. Sin pi by 2 minus x is nothing but cos x, so this is log cos x. Here it is I equal to log sin x, limits are 0 to pi by 2. Here it is I 0 to pi by 2 log cos x. So we may add these two using the properties of integral. I plus I is 2i 0 to pi by 2 log sin x plus log cos x. Log m plus log n is log mn. So log sin x log sin x cos x. But sin x cos x is nothing but sin 2x upon 2, because we know that sin 2x is 2 sin x cos x. So sin x to cos x may be written as sin 2x upon 2. Again, by the property of a logarithmic function, log m upon n is log m minus log n. So it will be log sin 2x minus log 2. So again we can write it into two parts. So first is log sin 2x, second is log 2. We have minus sign here. Limit of integrations are from 0 to pi by 2 in both cases, and we are integrating with respect to x. In the second integral we have log 2. Log 2 is constant, so we may write it outside the integration. So inside we have only 1 and we are integrating with respect to x. And in the first case we have log sin 2x here, and limits of integration are from 0 to pi by 2. So in the first case, substitute 2x equal to 2. It means we can write 2 dx equal to dt. For x equal to 0, t will be 0. If x is pi by 2 here, so pi by 2, 2 pi by 2 means pi. So t equal to pi. So whenever you make a substitution, always change the limit of integrations also. So earlier the limit of integrations was 0 to pi by 2. Now it will be 0 to pi. And this substitution we have made in first integral only. Remember this. So it means 2i is equal to, in place of 2x, we have t, so log sin t. And in place of dx, we have dt upon 2. Because 2 dx is dt, so dx is dt upon 2. dt 1 upon 2 I have written outside. So 0 to pi log sin t dt. And for second case, log 2 is constant. We were integrating with respect to x, so and we had 1 inside. So integration of 1 is x. Limits are from 0 to pi by 2. Again, we know that if f of 2a minus x equal to fx, then integration of fx, if the limits are from 0 to 2a, may be written as twice the integration of fx. The limit will be 0 to a. Here sin t means sine of limit is from 0 to pi. So sine of pi minus t is sin t. So this condition is satisfied. So 0 to 2a may be written as twice 0 to a. So 0 to pi may be written as twice 0 to pi by 2 log sin t. Because sine of pi minus t is sin t, so I have replaced it by twice 0 to pi by 2. It is pi by 2 here. Here substitute the upper limit pi by 2, then lower limit 0, write minus in between. So this will cancel out. So 0 to pi by 2, this is log sin t dt, this is pi by 2 log 2. Again, use the property that 0 to a, the limits are from 0 to a, then fx is equal to f of a minus x. So this will be 0 to pi by 2 log sin pi by 2 minus t dt. Here it is pi by 2 log t. Because we can always replace t by a minus t. Here a is pi by 2. So pi by 2 minus t. So this is 0 to pi by 2 log cos t dt minus pi by 2 sin t. But what is 0 to pi by 2 log cos t? This is I. Because this is a dummy variable only, we may always replace the variable of integration by any variable. So if it is log cos x dx, this is we may also write it log cos t dt or log cos z dz and so on. So if log cos t dt is also I. So this is I minus pi by 2 log t, because the variable of integration may be changed. So this is I, this side we had 2I. If you shift this I to this side, so it will be I, this is my minus pi by 2 log. Thank you.